Hello and welcome to Villa View. I'm Paul Bradley and I'm joined on the phone now by Aston Villa correspondent Matt Kendrick. Hi Matt.
Hi Paul.
We'll look ahead to the Arsenal game today. First of all, can you tell us the injury and team news, please?
Yeah, it's a bit grim, I must admit. Obviously, we'd already got Shay Given and Jermaine Genius and Eric Lehigh injured. Darren Benters will miss out again by the looks of it with this thigh strain. And now we're finding that Chris Hurd is also still out with an ankle problem. And James Collins, who I can't even remember what he's done, has got a knee problem. And then Heskey is struggling with his Achilles. So that's kind of 6 or 7 members of Villa's first team squad that they'll be without for the Arsenal game. The good news is Gabriel Vonlehor's back from his suspension. Stephen Ireland's available again after being ill. And Gary Gardner has returned from his loan spell at Coventry. So yeah, it's placing even greater strain on a squad that wasn't the biggest in the first place.
So does that mean we're going to be seeing the likes of Carlos Cuellar and Delfonso in this game?
Well, the manager's going to have a decision to make at centre half. Previously in the season, when Collins was injured, I think he brought Kieran Clark in. And the manager admitted when we spoke to him yesterday that Kieran Clark would be in contention. Like you say, Carlos Cuellar would have a genuine shout as well to come in there. I happen to think he might play Carlos Cuellar and Kieran Clark. I think he might play Cuellar at centre half and perhaps bring Kieran Clark into the holding midfield role alongside Petrov. But we'll have to see. As for what he does up front, I'm not entirely sure. I think he may play Gabriel Vonlehor up front on his own and then look to try and get support from the wide areas with the likes of Albrighton and Dogbia. But yeah, it's just going to need whoever plays to produce some big performances with some real heart and some real desire, because that's been sadly missing from Villa, particularly in the last game against Liverpool.
You mentioned that game against Liverpool, and it really had the feel that Villa players didn't care as much as they should do, and that they lay down somewhat and let Liverpool, especially in that second half, kind of control the game, as it were. McLeish has got a difficult problem on his hands there, isn't he? How he approaches this Arsenal game. Does he set out defensively to try and keep a defensive good record, or does he try and please the Villa faithful by having some attacking intent?
Yeah, it just all seems so flat on Sunday against Liverpool. I wouldn't say the players not caring. I just think that they seemed inhibited and intimidated, really. I think they were afraid to play a positive pass in case they lost the ball. But sod law, they ended up losing the ball anyway after 5 or 6 passes that went nowhere. It was all fairly aimless and all very mediocre. Quite what he'll do tactically, I'm not sure. I think Villa fans just want to see Villa have a good go and just try and, maybe if they can't win these games, just try and compete. Listen, we know there's a gap between the quality that Villa now have and the quality that the big teams like Arsenal, Liverpool and Manchester United have. But it doesn't mean that you don't try and compete. And I just think Villa fans need a performance to give them some hope going into Christmas.
And it seems from what you've been writing this week in the Birmingham Mail, Matt, that it's well known within Villa and the actual squad that McLeish needs to bring in some new faces. You quoted Stilian Petrov as saying it earlier this week. Can you expand on that any more, on if you think McLeish will be bringing in players and what sorts of players?
Well, the noises that we've had throughout the season are that Villa have got to trade carefully and that it's one in, one out, and they may have to sell to buy. Now that's softened slightly in recent weeks. We spoke to Alex McLeish a week or so ago, and he suggested that there possibly could be scope for them to do incoming business without losing anybody. And obviously we ran that interview with Stilian Petrov, where he not only put his own future to Villa, because he was one of the ones supposedly being talked about as being removed from the wage bill to generate funds. But Petrov suggested that he believes that the manager will be given fresh funds to bring in reinforcements. It's a slightly different situation to last January when Villa signed Darren Bent, John McCoon and Carl Walker on loan and Michael Bradley on loan. I don't think we'll see anywhere near that level of business, but there's no denying that Villa do need a fresh spark from somewhere, just an impetus to get things going. I wrote you on Match Report from the Liverpool game that kind of apathy reigns supreme on and off the pitch at the moment. The players are struggling to get the fans going, and likewise the fans are struggling to get themselves going to give any support to the players. So it needs something from somebody to kind of spark things off and get a positive mood back at the club.
And just lastly, before you go today, Matt, what sort of player, in terms of experience, would McLeish be looking for in January? Is it someone who's young and wants to prove themselves in the Premier League, or do you think he'll be looking for an experienced head?
I think you want somebody who knows the level, who's played a certain amount of games at that level. I think as much as his footballing ability, I think he needs somebody who, not nasty as such, but somebody who really cares, somebody who can kind of gee up his teammates around him, somebody who has high demanding standards of themselves and the same around him, because there's too many people on that Villa Park pitch in Claret and Blue at the moment who just seem to be accepting mediocrity, and I don't think that's the Aston Villa way. I think players have got to kind of give everything for the cause, and unless the fans start seeing that from players, then I can't see any end to this kind of current malaise.
Okay, Matt, well, I think a lot of fans will agree with your sentiments there. Thanks for your time again today, and thank you for listening. We'll be back again in the new year with more from Villa View.